You think you know Wendy Williams? The woman who built an empire on tearing celebrities apart with her razor-sharp tongue and no-holds-barred interviews? Think again. The undisputed queen of daytime drama just faced something, or rather, someone, she never saw coming. Enter Karoline Leavitt, the 27-year-old White House press secretary who walked onto the Wendy Williams show looking like she belonged in a church pew rather than a television studio. Dressed in a modest navy suit with a small silver cross resting, against her collarbone she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd already survived political firestorms that would have reduced most people to ashes. Wendy, perched on her iconic purple chair with that trademark smirk, took one look at this young woman and saw easy prey. "Honey," she purred into her microphone, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're out here wearing that cross like it's some kind of shield. But let's be real. When the entire media world is dragging you through the mud every day, do you actually believe there's some man in the sky keeping score?" The audience erupted in laughter and cheers, smelling blood in the water. But then something extraordinary happened. Karoline didn't flinch, didn't stutter, didn't even blink. She simply touched her cross, let the laughter die down, and spoke 3 words that would change everything. Every single day. What followed wasn't just good television. It was a cultural moment that left Wendy speechless, the audience in stunned silence, and millions of viewers questioning everything they thought they knew about faith, power, and the true meaning of strength. The atmosphere in the Wendy Williams show studio that day was electric, buzzing with the kind of tense anticipation that precedes a public execution. Wendy, dressed in one of her signature bold outfits that screamed, "Look at me," lounged in her chair like a lioness surveying her domain. Her audience, a sea of eager faces conditioned to laugh on cue and gasp on command, leaned forward in their seats, hungry for the kind of verbal bloodsport that had made Wendy famous. They'd seen her reduce A-list celebrities to stammering messes, watched her eviscerate politicians with a single raised eyebrow. And now here was this young, seemingly fragile press secretary, barely out of college for God's sake, walking onto the stage with nothing but a cross necklace and a polite smile. It should have been a slaughter. Wendy didn't waste time. "Let's get right into it, sweetheart," she said, her voice oozing faux sweetness. "You're what, 25? And you're already the White House press secretary, which, congratulations, that's impressive. But let's be real. The second you stepped into that role, the internet decided you were public enemy number 1. The memes, the think pieces, the she's too young nonsense, it's brutal out there. And yet here you are, sitting across from me with that little cross around your neck like it's some kind of force field." The audience cackled, some even clapping, as if they were in on the joke. Wendy smirked, waiting for Karoline to either crumble or snap. But Karoline did neither. She simply sat there, her posture relaxed but unwavering, her fingers lightly tracing the outline of her cross. Not nervously, but almost as if drawing strength from it. When the laughter faded, she met Wendy's gaze head-on. "You're right," she said calmly. "It is brutal out there. But this," she touched the cross again, "this isn't a force field. It's a reminder." Wendy blinked, caught off guard by the lack of defensiveness. "A reminder of what?" she pressed, her tone sharper now. Karoline smiled, not a smug smile, not a condescending one, but something softer, almost sad. "That I'm not alone in the fire." The studio, which had been a cacophony of noise just seconds earlier, fell into a silence so complete it was almost eerie. Even Wendy, the woman who always had a comeback, seemed momentarily at a loss for words. Wendy recovered quickly, of course. She was a professional after all. But something had shifted. Her next jab lacked its usual bite. "Okay, but let's be real, Karoline," she said, crossing her legs and leaning back in her chair. "You're in politics. You really think God's keeping tabs on who wins the news cycle?" The audience tittered, but it was half-hearted, as if they weren't entirely sure they were supposed to be laughing anymore. Karoline didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, considering the question as if it were genuine rather than rhetorical. "No," she said finally. "I don't think God cares about news cycles. But I do think He cares about people. And if my faith reminds me to treat even my harshest critics with dignity, then, yeah, I'd say it's pretty relevant." Wendy opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. For the first time in recent memory, she looked unsettled. The audience, sensing the shift, stayed silent. The cameras, which usually cut away to capture reactions, remained fixed on Wendy's face as she struggled to regain control of the interview. Then, in a moment no one could have predicted, Wendy asked a question that sounded almost vulnerable. "How?" she said, her voice quieter now. "How do you hold on to that when the entire world is trying to tear you down?" Karoline didn't answer right away. She studied Wendy for a long moment, as if seeing her, really seeing her, for the first time. When she finally spoke, her words were measured, deliberate. "The same way you did," she said softly. "When the tabloids dragged you, when the rumors swirled, when people said you were finished, you kept going, not because you didn't feel it, but because you knew your voice mattered." Wendy's breath hitched, just slightly. Just enough for the cameras to catch it. Then, the studio lights flickered. What happened next wasn't just a television moment. It was a cultural earthquake. Clips of Karoline's calm, unshakable presence spread like wildfire across social media, racking up millions of views in hours. Memes of Wendy's stunned face flooded Twitter. Hashtags like "Karoline silenced Wendy" and "the cross that broke the internet" trended worldwide. But the real bombshell dropped when an anonymous source leaked behind-the-scenes footage from the show. In the video, Wendy, off-camera and unaware she was being recorded, could be heard snapping at her producers. "This isn't what we booked. She was supposed to cry or snap, not turn this into a damn sermon." The internet exploded. Former staffers came forward with stories about how the show routinely scripted gotcha moments to humiliate guests. News outlets picked up the story, framing it as a reckoning for toxic media culture. Wendy, after a week of radio silence, posted a single black-and-white photo on Instagram, an empty chair with the caption, "Maybe I've been the villain all along." Karoline, ever the enigma, responded by posting a Bible verse. "Be still and know that I am God," with no further commentary. In the weeks that followed, something shifted in the cultural zeitgeist. Churches reported an unusual surge in attendance, particularly among young people. Therapists noted an influx of clients referencing the Wendy interview in sessions, discussing the power of quiet strength. Even secular commentators admitted that Karoline's refusal to engage in the usual back and forth had struck a chord in an era defined by outrage and performative conflict. Wendy, after a month-long hiatus, returned to her show with a noticeably softer tone. Her first guest? A pastor discussing the role of doubt in faith. Karoline, meanwhile, never gave a single follow-up interview. She simply kept doing her job, cross around her neck, silence her most powerful weapon. So here's the question. No one's been able to answer. Was this divine intervention, or just a woman who refused to play the game? Drop a comment below. Where were you when Wendy Williams got humbled by faith? And don't forget to hit subscribe, because the next story, it's already brewing.